everyone, Lau here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a new My Little Pony video. Not a haul, no, I haven't bought any more ponies since the last time. Okay, I'm good. And actually, can you see that? It looks still a little bit like Christmas here with my lights, but yeah, yesterday I put all the Christmas decorations away, finally. Like, I didn't want to, but it's like almost the middle of January, so okay, I figured it's time. But I think I will leave those colorful lights here because I really love them among my pony display actually. So let's see, I've ordered also some more and I have one new shelf. So I think I'm also gonna do like a updated toy collection tour like in January. I think that's actually a good idea because it's almost like half a year ago since my last one. I can link that down below. But like, I mean, yeah, I filmed it in August. So could be interesting, but today I actually want to talk about pony poses. Well, you've maybe heard me tell you about like, oh, this pony is in the crumpet pose, or sometimes I also say like molds, pony molds. Like what do I mean actually with that? Because like if you see that, they look like all completely different. Oh my goodness, so many colors, so many different ponies. But the truth is, of course, there are ponies which are in the exact same pose, like these girls here, you know? Colorful variations, but if you have a look, they are actually in the same pose. And every generation of My Little Pony, so from generation onwards until the very newest, like generation 4, or actually we're kind of in a generation 4.5 right now, right? They all have specific poses to their generation that are like reused to make like a new pony. Like body color is different, hair color is different, the symbols are different, but they're in the same pose. Still they are then a different pony. Like why is that? Why aren't like the toy companies like making for every pony or every toy a completely different pose? Like, would that be fun? I mean, I don't know if it would be possible to think of so many different poses, but actually the reason is that this is a very common practice in the toy industry to make specific like poses that you can reuse, and then give them different themes and different colors, and voila, you've got a new toy. Because that's done because of like cost efficiency. You know, it's like way more cost efficient to reuse an existing mold, and now here comes the word mold because sometimes I always say it also mold, that you can use for making a toy, making a pony again, but still you can give like in a shorter amount of time more variations out in the wild for the people to buy, because actually it is quite cost intensive for the companies to make a completely new shape of a pony or a toy in general. Like that's not that specific to ponies, because this process is, I think it's called in toy industry, it's called tooling, when you really have to make a new shape for a new toy and reusing existing ones, like either as we have it with ponies, reusing the exact same shapes and molds for a new pony, or like as well we have it like with action figures, you know, reusing for example just I don't know, the torso and popping out a new head, and voila, you've got like a new toy. Or reusing specific like just the arm or something like this, and then put it together, make a new toy. That's way more cost efficient. Like especially if you think of like things also like Barbie, you know, they all have always the same body. I mean, in different eras of Barbie, obviously, sometimes they change it up. But in general, most of them have the same, even the same face. Barbie always has the same face, but was sold over and over in different outfits and different da-da-da. So that's actually also a pose, the same mold. And if you can think of like those like super like expensive action figures nowadays for the like adult collectors market, like that's why also they are very expensive, because they make new molds, they use a lot of tooling to make new poses, new features, new molds for every single like action figure, and like this you won't see like in the like children's toy let's say department, especially not when we were still like here in the 80s with our Generation 1 My Little Pony. So we have lots of poses that were reused over and over again. And in this video I'm trying to like talk about a little bit about the different poses of ponies, and like I counted some of them, which poses are most used, stuff like that. And I'm not only talking about Generation 1 My Little Pony, it is the generation I know most about. It's my like main collection. That's things like this is the generation I'm focusing most on. But I'm also like gonna talk about like Generation 2, 3 and 4. So okay, let's jump into that. So, and for that it's like easiest to put like ponies a little bit in like clusters, you know, because as you know we have earth ponies that are like a normal horse, like no wings, no unicorn, nothing like that. Earth pony. We have unicorns that have a horn, obviously, and we have pegasi that have wings. And among these are obviously also so many different poses, so many different earth pony poses, or different Pegasus poses. But obviously there's even more variety like already in the like clustering, because we've also got baby ponies, you know, and we have baby ponies that have wings, which are Pegasus ponies. We have baby ponies that are just like normal ponies, earth ponies, and we also have baby ponies that have a horn that are unicorn ponies. And like such a bigger variety, but this is like how I tried to cluster adult, baby, and then adult, earth, Pegasus, and unicorn, like these, and then baby. So if you like have a look, let's take this pony here. This is Mommy Bright Bouquet, and you can like see this pose is we call it the bow tie pose. And if you have a look at this pose, she is like standing like this and then tilt the head to the right side. This is what we consider the pose. If you look under the hooves, it says Hasbro 1983. And then it also says like the country where it was produced, like China, or have we here Italy, for example. Now there's a common misconception that people think, oh, Hasbro 83, that means this pony was released in 1983. No, that's actually not correct. What it actually means is that this pose was first released with a pony in 1983, because this pony here, this was released in 1988. Like this is from year 7, together with the first set of family ponies. So you have to think about it that because I always see that in videos. I mean, not from the people that really make like pony specific videos most often, but a lot of them who are like have hauls or say, oh, this is from my childhood, whatever, they always look under the hoof and see, I don't know, whatever, 80 something, and then they say this pony was made in that year. Maybe it might have been made in that year, but as they reuse the poses over and over again through all the years, it probably wasn't made in exactly that year. And like, why do I say like this is the bow tie pose? This pony is called Mommy Bright Bouquet? Well, it's actually nothing like official. The poses' names aren't officially made by Hasbro. It's never that they said, now we're gonna produce ponies in the collector's pose. So that's just terms that pony collectors came up with to like define the ponies, to like describe them better when they're talking about them, when they're like putting them in clusters, in boxes, you know. That's what collectors like to do. Like, and the name of the pose is like most commonly the name of the first pony that was ever released in that pose. Now, not all of them, because like this pose we're calling the collector's pose. Well, there was no pony that was called collector, but this is like the very first pose, and there are like so many ponies in this pose, so I think that's why they came up with you can collect all of them. And also because it was the first set released, and it was said then that please collect them all, you know, that's the collector's pose. But generally like the ponies, like the first pony released in this pose was Surprise, so we're calling it the Surprise pose. But what if ponies have been released like two different ponies, exactly the same set, exactly the same year? How are we calling those? For example, here I've got like two baby ponies, Baby Moon Dancer and Baby Glory, and as you can see they are in the same pose, but they were released the same set. This is the first set of baby ponies ever released together the same year, but we still say that this pose is called the Baby Glory pose, and we usually don't say Baby Moon Dancer pose. I have no idea why that is. Like it's just someone said this is the Baby Glory pose. That's it. I guess there's no specific reason. Now some poses also have like different names, not really different names, but some are referred also to the style of the pose. Like for example, instead of saying that this would be the Gusty pose, you could also say this is the Shy Unicorn pose. But for me that's way more difficult to remember, like I don't know, Trotting pose, Shy Unicorn. It's easier to remember the pony names for the pose because that's the first pony that ever was released in that pose. For me that's just easier to remember, and also I think that's most commonly what the poses are called. Now to illustrate that even further, I have a very good example here of Posy. Posy was the very first pony ever released in this pose. So the pose is called the Posy pose. It's actually my favorite pony pose, but that aside, so the hoof mark says 84. So this is obviously the pony that was like the pose was named after. But we have also ponies here like Cherry Treats or like Star Gleamer. They also have the same marking of 1984, although, as you see, they have the same pose, although both of them were definitely not released in 1984. Like Posy is a kind of an early pony, year 3, and Cherry Treats here was released in year 6, I guess, so it's from 1987. Star Gleamer here is from 1988. So what if you would get this pony and then you see, oh, this pony is from 1984. It is not. The pose, the mold, the body shape was first used in 1984. That's what the marking is. And Posy pose is like a good example here of also how poses then were like changed over time. Because it is a little bit difficult to say, like, for example, is this still the same pose when it has like this, like a gem here in the front? It actually is, yeah, it's considered to be the same pose. But we have ponies like Sunny Bunch, for example. And Sunny Bunch, it is in the same pose, kinda, you know, but it has this molded on saddle, and for the toy company that required new tooling. So they made a new mold, a new shape, and so this pony does not have 1984, but it actually has 1989, because this pony was released 1989. So we as pony collectors would say this is the new pose, and there were just 2 ponies released in this pose, just for this merry-go-round pony set. And so the pose is called actually Flower Bouquet, which is the other pony, Flower Bouquet pose. But if you put them like next to the others, it kind of has the same pose. We can go even further here with my beloved Jazzy, a roller skate pony, which it kind of is the same pose, right? But as she has these completely like molded on roller skates, it is referred to as a new pose, and we're saying the roller skate pose. And if you look under the roller skate, it's really difficult to see, but it says 1992. So although she kinda is the same pose, we would refer to as a new pose because it has new things added to the pose, new things molded on, like these shoes, these roller skates that you can't take off, that the toy company had to make a new mold to shape out every pony that was then brought out with this pose, which is just 3 because there were just 3 roller skate ponies. And this posy pose is actually also a very good example of a pose that was used from very early on, from 1984, which the first pony was released in that pose. By the way, this is an Italy pony, an Italy posy, so it was released a little bit later, but you get the point that this first posy was released in 84. And they used this pose over and over again for so many years and so many different ponies, you see, up to actually 1992, although you can say this is not the exact same pose, but I have like 2 other examples. Like here we've got like Half Note, which is from 1989, or Merry Treats, the Christmas pony, also the posy pose, which is from 1990. So this is an example of a pose used for so many years. Like this is very exceptional because there were also poses that were not that used, not used so often, because it varies from poses that were just used for one pony. For example, this is a drink and wet pony pose, like the baby Snookums pose, and this is literally the only pony directly released in this pose. It is like a little bit special because, you know, the drink and wet feature is like where inside it has like a little tube where the water that you could put in its mouth and then it would come out here again. This is like something special, and we have just one set of drink and wet ponies, so it was never used again, and all of those 4 ponies that were released in this set like had a little bit of a different pose. So this is a unique pose, you could say. This pony is the only one that has exactly this pose. We also have pony poses that were kind of like released like early on and then actually kind of discontinued. Not very often like used like in the later pony years. So for example, here we have the Firefly pose. I don't have like Firefly to show to you, but I have Sky Dancer and I have Starshine here. You see, it is a Pegasus pose. The pony has like, it's nearly like, it looks like it is starting to fly, and it has an open mouth. Actually the only pony pose, except for like if you consider this drink and wet thing also an open mouth, that had like a kind of laughing open mouth. There aren't many ponies in this pose because this is from the very like first rainbow pony set. So from 83, yes, it's from year 2, and it wasn't used again after this. I mean, you have always to consider that they are like international exclusive ponies. I'm mostly not considering those like right now, because if you would say like this pony has also, I don't know how many hundreds international exclusive variations in exactly this pose, yeah, then you can say it was used a lot. But concerning like a pony name, like let's say a Sky Dancer, then it wasn't used again very often. We have one variation in later years for the Best Sunday or Sunday Best ponies. I can't show you that. Those were ice cream themed ponies, and they actually had like molded on cutie marks. That makes it kind of a new pose because something was added to the original pose, which really was a mold. And also then the mouth was closed, which is something interesting. I can't show you that pony. But other than that, in later years this pose wasn't used anymore. And as I said, we have poses that were used a lot over and over again, like the posy pose here, for example, that I showed you as a good example. Now, why is it that way? Why are some poses like more used than others? I can only guess. Like from the company point of view, it definitely has probably to do with like how good the ponies were selling in that specific pose. A very good example of a pose that was just used actually twice in very early years, the bubbles pose. I don't have that pony. It is a sitting pose. I can at least show you what like a picture of the back card would look like. Here, really a sitting pony, and it was released in exactly that pose, sitting in this set from year 2. 2 ponies were released, like Bubbles and Seashell, and I can remember kids didn't like to play with this sitting pony pose and probably didn't sell that well. It was just used then again for 2 Greek variants, so really not really used at all anymore. So I guess this is also from like the point of, oh, it didn't sell very well. And we also had like poses, for example, also can't show you that because these are the poses that weren't used that often. A pose of a, like the truly pose, a pony that is like, I don't know how that is exactly pronounced, rearing, when it's like up on 2 feet on the behind hooves, you know. This is an example where like the pony can't stand really well at all. It was always had always added these like see-through stand. Can you see that on the photo? I don't know. And from a like company point, they had to include those stands, which is like more expensive then. And it wasn't standing well, so they probably didn't release this pose so many times because there are just so many ponies in this pose, like I don't know how many, like 5 or something. But I can also think of that some poses might have been more expensive in the production process than others, or in general that some poses were also kind of outdated. They didn't want to use them again, like for example the collector's pose, which was used so many times in the early years, especially like if you consider all the international exclusive variants. And then it was like, you know, the OG pose, and the company probably wanted to move on and so didn't use this pose in the later years at all. Only also in this Sunday Best pony set that I just talked about with a molded on cutie mark. I can't show you that, I don't have a pony like this. So this has always been something super interesting for me, like why are there so many different pony poses and how many are they? How many are there? And I tried to count 2 different things, like A, how many different poses were there? Like how many unicorn poses, how many earth pony poses, how many baby unicorn, stuff like that throughout the different generations, because here's more like my generation 4 and 3, which you can't see because I put so many ponies in front. Anyways, like how many poses in general were there, and then which were the poses that were most used, how many ponies were released in like this specific pose, you know. I think I'm gonna make like a second video where I'm focusing more on this, like really which pose was used most and I will talk a little bit about this in this video, but I'm going to make like a follow-up video where I'm going like in detail in every single Generation 1 pony pose and telling you how many ponies were released in that pose. That was so interesting for me to count, although I have to say, like, it is like always on debate how you count. Do you count this in as a new pose? Don't you count this in? Do you count international exclusives in or not? Or I don't know, all this, but like this is like what I counted, and I'm going to need my book because I don't have these numbers like memorized completely, but it was so fun. So I have to say I didn't count in for example, the Dream Beauty poses, which were like huge ponies from the Generation 1, which were more looking like Barbie horses. I didn't count those in. I also did not count in the petite pony poses, and for the other generations I also didn't like count in any ponies like that aren't brushables in the normal sizes, so no styling ponies, stuff like that. So for the Generation 1 line, okay, so let's start with the adult Earth pony poses, which also included, next to all of the normal like female earth pony poses, also the boy poses, which were like 3 boy poses and 3 different sweetheart sister poses. That also included poses like, you know, for the pony friends that are like completely unique poses, which aren't ponies, but they belong into the My Little Pony line because, you know, there was just actually 1 giraffe, which is Creamsicle, for example, or 1 kangaroo, which is Hobby. But I also counted those then obviously as separate poses. So if I count all of the earth pony poses, including all of that, I counted 39 different earth pony poses just for generation 1. For the Pegasus ponies, which includes all of the different Pegasus pony poses, which includes the flutter pony poses, and I also included the winger ponies, which I don't have. They have like butterfly wings. Actually, they are smaller, but I counted them in just for the adult ponies because they are never called baby. And I counted like Peppermint Crunch, as I said, this pony that is actually in this pose but with a molded on cutie mark. I counted that in, but that makes altogether 13 different like kind of wing pony poses. And that's already a difference if you see 39 earth pony poses and 13 pony poses that have kind of wings. That's already less. For unicorn poses, there's no special thing that I counted in. I counted every single like different unicorn pose. It's just 6 different unicorn poses. So that's way less, you know. I mean adult. I'm just talking about adult right now. Then there are 6 different sea pony poses. I only have 1 here to show you, but they are like I included the adult, the baby sea ponies, and also the mermaid baby ponies that were like very in the end of the generation 1 line that were released. That makes also 6 different of these pony poses. And when we're talking about like baby ponies, you also have to consider that there are like kind of normal sized baby ponies. We have newborn baby ponies, and we have these teeny tiny baby ponies, and among those also several different poses obviously, but this is also something special about generation 1 line, that they were like even amongst the baby pony poses, even smaller ones. And if I count like all the earth pony baby poses, like which includes also the baby boy poses, which we have like 2 different ones here. You know, one that has these Clydesdale hoof things going on like the adult boy poses. And this was the first baby boy pose, which is also just called baby boy pose. So these also counted in. And also obviously the teeny tiny poses, where we have 2 different poses. And the many newborn baby pony poses, which there are a lot of different ones, which I didn't realize at first. So if I count all of those earth pony baby poses, I come to 20 different baby pony poses for earth ponies. Then baby unicorns, which we just have like normal sized, and some of the newborns, I counted just 5 different baby unicorn poses. And the same goes for the baby ponies that like all the poses that have wings. I just counted 5 Pegasus baby pony poses. And then we have several like unique poses, as I said, as like the Drink and Wet pony poses, that they are all like unique to one pony just. I also counted in like one that is an international exclusive pose, which is like a mixed up pose of the one body and another head, so a tied together pose. So I counted those unique poses also. Then there's 6 more, and it's already like noticeable that there are less baby pony poses than adult poses. But overall, you can already also see that way more earth poses, like adult and baby poses, then we have like unicorns and then Pegasus, which kind of also makes sense if you can just think from a perspective of like magical things. They like normal ponies are like way more spread out, you know, and Pegasus and unicorns are way less kind of like more rare or something like that, which we had like if it would be like magically from that point, yes. But then again, in most sets that we have of ponies, they often had like, I don't know, 2 earth ponies, 1 Pegasus and 1 unicorn. So still we had a lot of Pegasus and unicorn ponies in the generation 1 line. And if I count all of those different poses, you know, also this is a different pose and this is a different pose, and collector's pose and different whatever. If I count all of those different poses, as far as I counted 100 different pony poses in the generation 1 My Little Pony line. Okay, I was kind of surprised that it is so many. I mean, maybe I would have thought it's 50 or something, but there are so many varieties that I didn't think of, you know. And I also counted in some international exclusive pony poses, like the Spanish piggy pose, or there's a South African variant of this pose, which doesn't have a horn. I counted this then also as separate poses, but it's like 100 or maybe even some more if you consider some ponies also already a different pose that I didn't do. Like, that was kind of crazy. I think you have seen a lot of different like poses if I show you that. There will be another video where I go exactly and let's say here, surprise pose, so and so many times released. And I also want to rank those poses in terms of how I like them, but this will be another video. So let's clear the table a little bit and continue with generation 2. Here are 3 generation 2 ponies. What you already can tell from the beginning is that they changed the poses a lot. If you can see, they are way smaller because this is an adult generation 2 pony. They were way more like slender, and I think they made them look more elegant or something. Anyways, one difference is that all of the heads you can turn. This is something different. I mean, not all, because there's some specific ponies, but in general this is something they changed up for the poses, other than what they look in general. But as generation 2 wasn't all that successful, especially in the US. It lasted just for I think 1 year, 2 years or so. In Europe it was a little bit more like successful, especially in France. I heard they sold really well. They sold for many years, but that also already is like makes it obvious that they didn't release so many different poses. Like, this is an example of the same pose. This is the Morning Glory pose, and this is also the pony Morning Glory that this pose came in first. You have to think that what they also did in generation 2, what started in the end of generation 1 a little bit, is they started doing like characters. Because this pony here, this is always Morning Glory, but they released it in different like official releases. This is the first normal Morning Glory. I think this is the Princess Morning Glory, so it is Morning Glory again. It is the same pony, the same character, but in a different release, you know. And this is, I think, the Royal Wedding Princess Morning Glory. So this is something that they didn't do in generation 1 a lot. I mean, it's not definitely like completely like tied to poses, but it's something that I realized because in generation 1 we most often we had, when it was a new pony, it was also a new name, you know. Like, we have Sunbeam, and this is Sunbeam, and she is a character because she was maybe, I don't know, in the series probably not, but maybe in the comics, but they didn't release several Sunbeams. One with this hair, and one with the tinsel, and one with movable legs or something like that. No, that is then always, they made so many new ponies and pony names. Just in the end, when they had those like 7 pony friends and those ponytails, there were sometimes characters, like for example Melody. Melody got a normal release, Melody got also a roller skate release, for example, but that wasn't really a thing in Generation 1, but it picked way more up like in Generation 2, not completely, but this is something that I noticed. Something else about the Generation 2 pony poses is that they had many ponies way more with movable legs, and this was started in Generation 1. You know, we also had poses with movable legs here, like the ballerinas, the baby ballerinas, and 2 poses of adult ballerinas, which were just released in the US, but these were just one specific set of ponies, you know. And I don't have many examples of Generation 2 ponies, but there were so many different poses that were what they called magic motion poses, where you would, for example, do something with the tail, and then, I don't know, something else would move, or a hoof would move, or like behind legs are movable. This is way more often in the different poses of the Generation 2 pony line, and what's also like very, very like noticeable for me is, let's put here some others, that Generation 2 didn't release any Pegasus ponies at all. There were some ponies that had like clip-on wings, like you could clip them on like butterfly clip, but also not very many. I think they're kind of sought after, but I'm not an expert in Generation 2 at all. And there was just one unicorn pose. And among this pose, not many releases. So most of them, almost all of them, were earth ponies. Like, I think this is the earth pony pose that was most used. It is the sky skimmer pose. But we have like examples of other poses like this. You can see this pony has one hoof up in the front. Let me check on the name. I think it's a clever clover pose. And we also had baby ponies in the Generation 2 line. I can't show you any because I don't have any. They are very cute. They are quite teeny. And they have like also just 3 poses. So let's count the Generation 2 poses. Yeah, it doesn't even make sense to count between unicorn, Pegasus and Earth, because there aren't any Pegasus and just one unicorn pose. So I counted 11 different adult poses, which also includes all of those poses here, you know, the magic motion pose. This actually is a unique pose to just this one pony. It's called the full motion the full motion Lightheart pose, because this pony is called Lightheart. It got many different releases, always the character Lightheart in different poses, maybe in different releases. And this is the only one that has this completely movable leg system here. So it is counted as a unique pose. We had, as I said, 3 baby pose and like 2 unique poses. There's another one that's unique to one pony. So altogether, just 16 different pony poses. Remember what I told you some minutes ago? 100 different pony poses for Generation 1 and just 16 different pony poses for Generation 2. That makes it kind of clear to me that makes it kind of obvious that this generation of ponies wasn't all that successful. Okay, let's talk about Generation 3 ponies and their poses. Generation 3 in general, if you can see from the pose, they already look way more like the Generation 1 ponies look like. It seems they went back to their original, recipe, because Generation 2 wasn't that successful, so the pony poses are like, again, way more like small and a little bit more stout, you know, not that like elegant, small, like slender, a little bit more, you know, cutesy again. And yes, we have very much like a bigger variety of poses and of ponies in general again than we had it with Generation 2, because Generation 3 was way more successful than Generation 2 again. That already makes it very clear. And we have again like Earth poses, we have unicorn poses, we have Pegasus poses, and we have different baby poses. But something interesting is also that, I mean, it's not directly tied to the pose, but I still want to mention it, that Generation 1 ponies had their symbols on both sides. Generation 2 ponies also had their symbols on both sides. Generation 3 ponies did their symbols have, oh my goodness, they just had them on one side. That's the first pony generation that had their cutie marks just on one side. I mean, that's due to cost efficiency, obviously. You just have to paint it or print it onto one side. That continued on now. From that generation on, we only have cutie marks symbols. Whenever you start telling them saying cutie marks, just on one side. But concerning the poses, I counted adult Earth pony poses, 30 different Earth pony poses. That's a lot. I counted for Generation 1 39 different Earth pony poses. Generation 3 is almost up there. 30 different Earth pony poses. But then it is kind of different with the other two, because I just counted 3 different unicorn poses. I mean, we had, I think, 6 different Generation 1 adult unicorn poses. Here we've got just 3. And we had a little bit more of like winger ponies, like Flutter, Winger and Pegasus ponies in Generation 1. Generation 3, Pegasus ponies, we have also just 3 different poses. I mean, yes, we also have Generation 3 ponies that have like these clip-on wings. That also were kind of a thing in Generation 2, but I don't count them because they are not unique poses. As you can see, this is the like trotting pose, I think, called, or also called Pinkie Pie pose. And yeah, 3 more ponies, for example, in this pose. And it is the exact same pose. Although you can clip on some butterfly wings here, so I didn't count that as a different pose. That's not for me a unicorn, a Pegasus pose, that's an Earth pony pose, because there's no speciality in that, for example. So 30 and 3 and only 3. And also just 5 different baby pony poses. So there were less baby ponies in general in Generation 3 than like adult ponies. And we only actually have 2 like normal baby pony poses. So the baby pony pose 1 and the baby pony pose 2. You will notice that with the Generation 3 pony poses names, it's more of a variety between really the names or more description of the pony poses. So it's not always the first pony that was released in that pose, because these baby pony poses were more like to be called like baby pose 1 and baby pose 2. And then there are 3 more baby pony poses, but they are unique to just one pony. I have one of them. I have the mocha nut pose, which this is mocha nut. Such a cute pose with these teeny tiny wings here. So it is a Pegasus baby pony, but this is the only pony ever released in that pose. And to be honest, I have no idea why. Why? I mean, they made that pose. They put money in the tooling of this new mold. Why didn't they release more ponies in this mold? Like, I have no idea. I can't think of a reason why. Because this is such a cute pony. Really, really. And you can see that many of the Generation 3 ponies also have like movable heads, but not all of them. I couldn't really find out when that started because there are a lot of that don't have movable heads. But I think the later releases, lots of them have movable heads. So that all together makes 41 different pony poses for the Generation 3. I mean, that's already way more than we had like with the Generation 2. We had 16 different poses. So we have 41 different poses. But then again, that's just half of what we had in Generation 1. Way less than half of the different pony poses for Generation 1. Generation 3, I have to say, also like kept up the thing with the character-specific ponies, as I explained to you with a Generation 2. Like we have like the core 7 in Generation 3, where they are characters that were released over and over again. Like, for example, Rainbow Dash, and here's another release of a Rainbow Dash. These are different ponies, not a variant, this is really a different release, but both are Rainbow Dash. So we have that way more often with ponies like Rainbow Dash. And with Pinkie Pie and Tula Rula, for example, is another one of the core 7. I can't show you all of them. Cheerilee, for example, Scootaloo, Sweetie Belle. So those are really characters that were released then with different versions, you know, with a glittery horn and without a glittery horn, and with a cutie mark that is like completely onto the leg or without that. And they count as different ponies, not as like international exclusives or whatever as we had with Generation 1. This is really characters. This is also tied to the TV show that was like released for Generation 3 ponies. So this is a thing that especially continues on into Generation 4, but we're not done talking about Generation 3 here, because here you can see another example of a pony pose. These in the front here. Actually, I should exclude her, but these are, for example, even called the core 7 pose, because they were all released for the core 7 character ponies. And it is, for example, here the same pony pose, just a horn added, and we have a new pose. So kind of easy tooling for the factory and for the manufacturers, right? And this is then, for example, also the Sweetie Belle pose. And this pose is actually to be set like unique to Sweetie Belle. But then again, Sweetie Belle was released in so many different releases, with a glittery cutie mark and without a glittery cutie mark, and with a cutie mark that is like all over the body, and with tinsel hair and without tinsel hair, and then this set and then this specific other set and stuff like that. So we say this is a unique pose to Sweetie Belle because only the character Sweetie Belle was released in that pose, but in so many different like versions, you know. So this is starting to really take off in Generation 3 ponies. Which other pony poses can I show you? I think this is the most used pony pose is, I think, this one in Generation 3, so the Rainbow Dash pose. But the second most used, let me check if that is correct, 26, yeah, ponies released in this pose, which is called the donkey pose. So you can see there has never been a pony called donkey. It is just called donkey pose because it kind of looks like a donkey that's making this "yaw" sound, you know. That's why this pose is called the donkey pose. You can see those different ponies here. We've got some Minty, for example, that you saw in all of the endings of my like Vlogmas series. She's also a Generation 3 pony in the donkey pose. Or here, Flippity Flop, for example. Generation 3 also has, of course, poses that are like not very often like used. As I said, the donkey pose was used like for 26 different ponies. The Rainbow Dash pose was used for 36 different ponies. This is a pose called the Shell Bell pose, or is it even Shell Bell? Because this pony is called Shell Bell. Yeah, it is also the shell bell pose, so this is shell bell. And this pose is also called the broken neck pose because, I mean, this is like, the pony is standing like, I can't turn my head, you know. That's why it also has like the nickname of the broken neck pose. There were just 3 different ponies in this pose. But I think it's also interesting that there are ponies in Generation 3 that seem to have the same pose, but actually don't really have, because if you look closely, their legs here, they are not the same. Although they look pretty similar, and as if their neck is kind of broken. So this is a different Generation 3 pose than this. So as you see, Generation 3 is a little bit more similar in the poses concerning to Generation 1, as in their look, in their variety, but they kept more like really their focus on the character thing, although this generation had so many pony releases of ponies that were like non-character specific. Sparkleworks and this is Sparkleworks, sorry, and I don't know, Emberlocks, and these are not specific characters, although there has been maybe released another Emberlock and maybe another Sparkleworks. So it's still a little bit like different to what Generation 1 did. It's more character specific. I'll show you another pose, because in the next video where I'm going in detail about all the different Generation 1 poses, I won't name so many different Generation 3 poses, etc, etc, because this will be done in Generation 1 only video. So I want to show another pose. For example, this is the Diva pose for Generation 3. Again, there is another pony called Diva, but you know, it looks a lot like, I'm a diva, you know. This is this pose. Some of the poses are a little bit strange when you have them like on the shelves, but this is the same with Generation 1. You know, there are pony poses that are like, and when you have them on your shelf, they kind of look like strange, other than a very straight pose, like the collector's pose. And there are very straight like poses for Generation 3 as well, like this one. This is just looking straight ahead, other than like these poses. You know, equivalent of Generation 1 pose would be the bow tie pose, just like mirrored. Okay, and when I said some of the Generation 3 poses, to me they kind of look a little bit similar already. It's nothing compared to Generation 3.5, where honestly I personally, except for that we have like these sitting baby ponies and that we have like kind of adult ponies, all the adult poses kind of look the same, because there is not much variety between the poses. And when I counted them, it is really that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 actually kind of different like adult poses, but I can't show you all of them. One is a little bit smaller, the Sweetie Belle pose, but still their variety is just in like one hoof up a little bit, one more like this, stuff like that. So 4 adult poses, and interestingly enough, 5 different poses of these newborn babies. They all have a molded on diaper, and they are all like sitting like this, 4 different poses. This, for example, is a Rainbow Dash. Here's an adult Rainbow Dash. Another adult Rainbow Dash. Yeah, this is something that Generation 3.5 like only did, is just releasing the core 7 ponies that were introduced in, you know, the Generation 3 line with, you know, Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie and Tula-Rula, those characters, those core 7 ponies. And those characters, it's completely character based, are only these are the only ones released in Generation 3.5. There are no other ponies. There's just like Sweetie Belle, Scootaloo, Cheerilee, Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie, I don't know, Tula Rula, I don't even know which ones, 7 ponies, and always just these ponies. And in so many different releases. I only have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Generation 3.5 ponies, but for example, this is a Pinkie Pie with like a symbol like the Twice as Fancies and with super curly hair. And then we've got like, I don't know how many different other Pinkie Pie versions. But in general, their heads are huge. All of them, again, can turn their head. Some of them, that's interesting concerning the hair, but this is nothing about like the mold. Some of them, again, have bangs. And a lot of them have like a lot of hair. But concerning the poses, pretty one-dimensional, I have to say. And of course, Generation 3.5 just lasted for, I don't know, 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years maybe, before they really turned to a completely new pony generation, which is the Generation 4. Generation 4 ponies look actually nothing like what we had before. They are way smaller, even way smaller than Generation 2, and again way smaller than, for example, Generation 3 or 3.5, and less chunky, but still like huge heads, and actually their features like are like the least of what a real pony would look like. Yeah, but Generation 4 actually has a lot of variety in poses, which was like really surprising for me, because when I look at Generation 4 ponies, for me, they kind of most also look like pretty similar. Sure, we have like those big ones and we have those small ones, but you have to really look closely to see the differences. Generation 4 is again a line that is very tied to like the characters, especially the characters of the show My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, which was a huge success. And that made total sense then to concentrate a lot on those characters. So that's why we have like Twilight Sparkle with tinsel and Twilight Sparkle with other tinsel and a pearlized Twilight Sparkle. Oh yeah, and a bigger Twilight Sparkle. And let me say, I don't know, do I have more? Yeah, a sea pony Twilight Sparkle. You see? Characters, all like the main 6 characters over and over again. Okay, let's put aside again those. But like still they released some ponies which were like not the generation like Generation 4 6 main characters. For example this Wisteria here, or I don't know, Lyra Heartstrings, which is just a background character, for example, of the show. Or here we've got, oh my goodness, here we've got Plumette, for example. She's not a character from the series at all. So they turned a little bit back to also releasing every now and then a completely unique pony, which has nothing to do with the characters, other than what Generation 3.5 like did just the main characters. They here and there they released some of those, but it seems it's way more like better for them to make those like same characters which the children love and we all love over and over again. But in the poses, like, okay, we have an earth pony here, we have a unicorn, yeah, teensy tiny horn. Here we've got a Pegasus, but it's not that easy for me to count the different poses because, yeah, well, actually they all look the same. They are the same main body. This one has molded on wings. This one has a molded on like a unicorn horn. But like from the first releases, all of the bodies actually look like kind of the same, but still I would count them as a different pose because this one required different tooling and this one required different tooling. And we have baby ponies. What also the Generation 4 again did, not many, but at least some boy ponies. A very special thing in the Generation 4 line is that first time ever we have alicorns, which means it's unicorn. They have a unicorn horn, but they also have wings like a Pegasus. So those are the special ponies, you know, the princesses, the royals. We have those ponies. This is also something special that was like never done before in any of the other pony lines. We also have sea ponies. Oh God. We also have sea ponies again. So since the very first generation of My Little Pony, we have never seen like sea ponies again. I think the Generation 3 line had some of the small non-brushable Ponyville ponies that had like you know, mermaid tails, but other than that we have sea ponies. We also have baby sea ponies, which are also not brushable, but I still count them in as different molds. And fair enough, between those small poses there are some that have a little different body. For example, here we've got Shirley, which has the front leg up, and here this is like the standing pose, a Pinkie Pie, which is standing like straight here. So a walking pose, a standing pose, and those then wings or the horn, like, but most of them look pretty similar. But when I count them, at least I try to count them, I think we've got, that's really surprising for me, 48 different pony poses in the Generation 4 line. And I do count in the reboot pony poses, because kind of in the middle of the line, or halfway through to a little bit later, they kind of stopped doing those poses here that I showed you, and only released ponies in newer poses, which we collectors refer to as the reboot pony poses. And let's give you an example of Rarity, which, you know, here are different releases. This is a normal Rarity pose, like one of the earlier poses, and suddenly they started to release poses that look more like this. Can you see the difference? The head looks a little bit different. The legs are even more like slender. Like they look different a little bit, but still I think they go well together with this whole line of ponies. And these reboot pony poses, they brought a bigger variety in the poses, definitely. Like you can see, the hoof is up, the head is completely different. Here we have a laughing one with an open mouth. This one here is like different walking than this. So those then brought in new molds to like specific characters, like this one here. Or like all of the sea ponies were just released like when they already had the reboot ponies. So they also look, from the heads, they look different than their first releases. So yes, 48 different poses I counted, but still actually the variety isn't that big if you just say like, okay, those 3 baby ponies, there's just one difference in the front legs. If you can see that, this is a little bit up in the air, this definitely not. And then this one has a horn, this one doesn't, so it's an earth pony, and this one has teeny tiny wings, but still the poses are very, very similar. Let's show you some more interesting. Here we've got the big princess poses. The alicorns are like huge, way bigger than the small winged ponies here. We also have other winged ponies in this line. Like these are more like flutter ponies, but they're not called flutter ponies. You think they're called glimmer wing ponies. This is a glimmer wing plumette. we have a little bit smaller alicorns than what we had here. We have ponies that have like, it's kind of the same pose, but they are see-through and they have like stuff inside of them. Some are light up features, some have like these water cuties that have like that, like a snow globe inside. So they count as a different pose, obviously. And I also counted like these teeny tiny baby sea ponies, which there are 4 different poses. Like, they are different. So that's why it comes to so many different poses. When I count like these also in, and you know, I count this as a different pose, and I count all of those as different poses, although they kind of look very, very similar. You're probably completely like confused and oh my goodness, you saw so many poses and ponies. That's why I wrote down like a little bit of summary between the different generations, and I will just tell you, like, again, summarize what I just told you about the different generations, because I was talking about generation 1, generation 2, generation 3, 3.5 and 4. So generation 1 here definitely had the most different poses. The biggest variety in ponies, the biggest variety in poses. Lots of international exclusive variants. I mean, that doesn't have really to do with the poses, but they were also exclusive poses for some countries. Each pony mostly is a unique character. Yes, there were some ponies like released again, and of course those international, like, I don't know, Bowtie has so many different international variants, but I didn't count that. So we have poses that are used over and over and over again here, like the posy pose, you remember, from 84 up until actually 89, 90. We have like unique poses, like poses here, like for baby snookums, for example. And actually 100 different pony poses counted in. Most earth ponies and less of unicorns and Pegasus, but also again a lot of baby pony poses. Generation 2. They looked completely different from the poses. There were only 60 different poses, no Pegasus ponies at all, 1 unicorn pose, 3 baby poses, not very many babies in general. A lot of them have like movable leg features, and movable heads. And this generation actually really started with those like characters, you know, morning glory, morning glory, morning glory, morning glory. So many different variants released, or not variants, but more like so many different releases of the same pony character. Generation 3. They went back to the original formula again of like how the poses look way more similar to generation 1. They had more poses, more variety in poses again, because we had 41 different poses. Because here just 16, 116, 41 different poses. We again had earth ponies, Pegasus ponies and unicorn ponies. We had baby ponies, but no male ponies at all. Like generation 3 didn't have any male pony poses. Generation 2 also didn't have, although they said some of the characters are male. They, for example, then said this and this pony is a boy, although it looked completely the same as girl ponies. Generation 3, no boys at all. Also no sea ponies, but generation 2 also didn't have sea ponies. Then only 2 baby pony poses and 3 unique baby pony poses that were unique to one character. I think that's really strange, but that's how it is. And they obviously continued with the characters, you know, Pinkie Pie, Pinkie Pie, Pinkie Pie, or like Sweetie Belle, Sweetie Belle, Sweetie Belle, So, and they really brought that up because Generation 3 had those, like brought the core 7 into the picture. Generation 3.5, only 10 different poses, only releases of those core 7 characters, huge heads, they are in general not really popular, and between the poses not very easy to distinguish. Generation 4, we have like 48, maybe even 50 different poses, but all of them again look pretty similar, you know. I mean, this and this looks different, but between those here, there's not a big variety, you can say. Again, a lot of character releases. Twilight Sparkle, Twilight Sparkle, Twilight Sparkle, in this version, and this version, and this version, and this version. There were almost like there weren't really many like different other ponies released other than the main 6 characters. Add Earth ponies, Unicorn ponies, Pegasus ponies, Sea ponies, Baby Sea ponies, Boy ponies, Alicorn ponies. So a lot of different variants in this way. And the general thing is like they are way smaller than all of the others. And interesting also, in the middle of the line we had this cut between the first poses and then the reboot poses. Interesting is that Generation 4 is like the first pony line that kind of made like a spin-off thing, a spin-off series of those like humanized ponies, those Equestria girls, which then also like brought out like dolls and those posable action figurines, I don't know what you would call them, those Equestria girls minis. Interesting is also, I can't show you an example, but Generation 3 and Generation 4 have fashion style sizes of ponies. They most often look very similar to the normal poses, scaled up. And fashion size, I mean, I have bigger ponies, but they are not the real fashion size ponies of Generation 4. You can brush more hair, you can put on more accessories, stuff like that. That wasn't a thing in Generation 1 or Generation 2. We didn't have fashion style, like bigger style ponies. And right now we are actually in the Generation 4.5, you could say. I mean, it's not called like this, it's more like, is it Pony Life? Is it called, I don't know. We have new ponies in completely new molds, in completely new poses. I can't show you any because I haven't found any. Really not, I mean, and I don't mean like on flea markets. I mean like I haven't found any in stores. I could have bought them maybe online, but do I want to pay retail plus shipping? Not really. They kind of go back to like what from Generation 3 to Generation 3.5. We had those big heads. It's the same now. Generation like 4 and Generation 4.5, you can think of, they have even bigger heads. Their faces look even less like ponies. They look kind of like cats, to be honest. So I don't know if after that we will get to Generation 5 or how long this 4.5 thing continues. But that's actually it, what I can tell you about different pony poses. I think it's probably a very long video. Maybe I want to, like, the last thing I want to tell you is that actually every pony, not every, but like many pony generations also had smaller ponies. I said I don't count them in as different like poses, but Generation 1 had the petite ponies. I think Generation 2 did not have any like super small ponies, but Generation 3 had the ponyvilles, Generation 4 the blind bags. So this is also, you could count them as different poses, but I mean, no thanks. Just as an information, same as I gave you information about the fashion style ponies, kind of small ponies that also a lot of different generations had. I didn't confuse you too much and you liked listening to me while I'm talking about pony poses. maybe you turn in for the next video. I don't know if it will be exactly the next or like one of the others, but I really want to tell you all about the different Generation 1 poses, like every pose that I have a pony of, and then like rank them as in which is a pose that was most used for most ponies, or which are my favorites and which are my least favorite poses. So thank you for watching. See you real soon, and may the force be with you. Bye!